Yo, this car be looking nice. Look at Mom's car. Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. I'm literally just staring at this car because I love it. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Parents noticed she wasn't in the mood to be bothered. I guess we're like little kids in modern day, because like, look at that like screen on the car. You didn't have that a long time ago. They gave her space, and Mama just asked you what you'd like to listen to. Picked your favorite song. It always made the car ride more fun. You chose the soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. You chose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. I don't care about my sister at all. Nope. I'd pick my favorite song. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. You both knew all the words, and your moms even sang along too. When the car ride was over, you spent the Twilight Hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. So my sister had a lesson, so I had to watch her. I guess that kind of makes sense, but still it's annoying. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs and to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. I feel like I don't know much about golf, but I feel like it's not really like a late sport. Like you do it earlier in the morning or something. So it seems kind of weird they did it at this time. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon you had a whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in a better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home, and clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street and reversing into the driveway. When she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So?
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mom put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You didn't regret it. You felt a little guilty, like you had betrayed your sister. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. But it was her fault for doing it in the first place. I mean, I was originally gonna say I didn't regret it, but then when they say those other options, I kind of feel bad now. You didn't like doing it, but you had to. I'd probably go with the last option. I feel like as a kid, I was always blaming other people for things I did, or comparing a lot. You hadn't done anything wrong by telling the truth. It wasn't like Lizzie was going to say it on her own. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. This is kind of mean. Like, I feel like most parents would be like, you don't have, you walk away. Like, me as the other kid, not in trouble. You remember the number of Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod solid. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Wow, they have a landline phone. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. I'm really confused by what time period it said. The phone rang a couple of times and stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through on the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie, can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Storm, what a surprise. But, of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nolani. Z and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke up to say hello too. You said nothing to Cove's dad. I probably wouldn't say. You said nothing to Cove's dad. You shifted from one foot to another, but remained where you were. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time at all. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a brief silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. It took a bit of a back and forth through the conversation. It seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too because he sighed quietly. I want gold. Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent by the demand. You could understand why he did it. You had wanted gold too. What? Oh, I was so confused. Imagine the parents in this situation. Alright, you win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Code felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
You can go back to your room if you want, but be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hands to catch her attention. Can I go now, too? Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued to talk to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was fine, back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room, with a spring in your step. I don't know. Oh wow. I love how realistic this game is with the kids' situations. Long day. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you're already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel... Please... Oh wait. You ever read and you never process what you're reading? Oh wait. Lizzie and Cove... Another scorching hot day, you'd finished one cup of water, you're already filling it up. No one else had something on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. Didn't happen on much. Just like without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked for you problem. It made you feel... I feel like as a kid, I would feel pleased, but also at the same time, I'd feel annoyed but I wouldn't realize it because I'd just be like, oh cool, I'm in charge. That's good, right? Yeah, I'll say please. He might not be in double digits like your sister, but he was only 7. Being the oldest and getting to be the leader was a nice change of pace. He's 7. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy, cold, refreshing, something sweet, something like a popsicle, an ice cream cone, an ice cream cake. Probably a popsicle. Sounds good. You wanted something fruity and brightly colored. There's something like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Oh, that sucks. Outside there were plenty of places where such goodies could be obtained. There were shops, and they made a payment in exchange for their products. You sighed. You voiced your predicament out loud. You asked Shiloh for help. Yeah, I'd probably voice it out loud. I want a popsicle. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up. Yeah. That sounds good. We don't have anything like that in the house, and I don't have any money. Oh, let me check if I have any. Sweet, wholesome Shiloh. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus 1 stray button. He set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1. He announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly. It's not enough, it's a start. Honestly, yeah, like, I feel like I would just look at it as it's not enough and just be, like, hopeless because I wouldn't know how else to get mine. It's not enough. Oh, you don't have to apologize. Oh, we need to find some more. Oh, just hearing him apologize for something that he doesn't, it hurts, but it's how I love him. Okay. The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross, bent paper clips, fluffy wisp or dust or sandy crumbs, but every so often one of you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. Your mind wandered to the $20 bill tucked away in your room. It was enough for you and Shiloh to get whatever you wanted, and more, but you didn't take it out. It was too special to hand over so freely. Besides, Shiloh would be curious about where it came from, and might even mention your wealth to Lizzie. The exchange had been a secret. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, two of you finished pulling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as he continued the coins once again. $2.53 and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? You figured he knew the answer, but you appreciate him recognizing your authority on financial and ice cream matters. You straightened up before making your pronouncement. This kid is such a follower, and I wish he wasn't, but he's also so dang cute. Yeah, we've got enough. You could now afford something at the shops, just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped. Are we using him right now? I feel like, okay. As a kid, I probably would do it. But now, as I'm older, and I have apathy or empathy, whatever it is, I feel bad. I remember taking advantage of kids during, like, lunchtime for their food because I was desperate to eat. Yay! Oh my god, get out of my face, Shiloh. You're adorable, but the two of you dashed outside, the promise of sugar. We get it, you live on the beach. Why is that word so hard? Buoyed? I know exactly what the word is, but looking at it makes my brain hurt. You on to your destination where breathless but happy you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had to contribute the funds to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause. Aren't you getting a popsicle? Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea, you should choose. You went ahead and got what she wanted originally. Are you really sure it's okay? You tried to get something you both wanted anyways. God, I'm a selfish kid. I was such a selfish kid. I want it. He's so sweet. I tried to get something we both wanted. It wasn't fair for you to be the one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making this happen. Someone might him direct look from his backpack. What do you like? All of them. They're so good. Press further. But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice cream? Which is your favorite? Oh, it's so hard to pick. I don't know. Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? Yeah! And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You sucked on the fruity popsicle you brought. The icy treat cooled you down perfectly, and the zesty flavor was refreshing. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
Finish it.
Why is he so sweet? He didn't want any? After everything he did to help get it? That was weird.